Once again, Merry Christmas, film fanatics. Filmholmes here, and welcome to another rendition of Too Many Movies. So in the last video I talked about the original Star Wars Trilogy, and now I will talk about the much maligned Prequel Trilogy, which kind of hurts because, yeah, these movies are a big source of controversy to this day because they're just not nearly as good as the original, and frankly aren't even as good as Force Awakens in my opinion, or as the new trilogy is probably going to be. But yeah, let's just go ahead and dive right into it. We've got a lot to say about them. So let's start with Star Wars Episode 1, The Phantom Menace. The story behind Phantom Menace is that Jedi Knights Qui-Gon Jinn and Obi-Wan Kenobi, of course a younger version, go to a Trade Federation ship to talk about taxes or something. I really don't care. And they find out this plot, and they go down to a planet and eventually recruit Jar Jar Binks. They're trying to get to Queen Amidala. There's going to be an attempt on her life, probably, or they're trying to overthrow her, basically. And they come across Padme, her servant, and then eventually a very young Anakin Skywalker. And yeah, that's basically it. And then it leads to stuff. Alright, I saw this originally when it came out in 1999. And I had just seen the special editions, and I was very excited for a brand new Star Wars trilogy. And when I first saw it, just like everybody else, I loved it. Not everybody else, but people my age, we loved it. We loved the special effects, we loved the characters, we loved the story. I loved it. I loved it, loved it, loved it. Not as much as the original trilogy, but I still very much enjoyed it. But just like most other people, as the years progressed, I discovered that it's really, really not that good. And it was hard to come to terms with that, to have a Star Wars movie that I really didn't like. And the funny thing is, I can still watch this and enjoy the shit out of it. But it's like enjoying a bad movie. You know, it's like when I watch Tango and Cash. I love that movie. I know it's not really a good movie or good for me, but I still enjoy it. And Phantom Menace is that for me. It's just a not good movie that I enjoy. You know, I mean, the special effects are are good. You know, they're very good. I always enjoyed when they would have practical effects in the movie. They look good. The dialogue is a little weird at times. It's just, it doesn't have as many great moments as the trilogy did. Every movie had stuff that was memorable, and this just doesn't. I mean, yeah, the lightsaber duel and the Duel of the Fates song from John Williams, that's awesome. That's about it. That's about the biggest thing I remember. You know, and people hate... the pod race was memorable. You know, some people say it went on too long. It did, but it was fun. Like, it was fun and it was different, and I liked it. And Greg Proops is the announcer. I love that because I'm a big Who's Line fan. But the things I despised. And it's not Jar Jar. Jar Jar got way too much screen time. And that's why he was so annoying. If he wasn't as prevalent in the movie, I don't think people would have hated him as much. But I swear to God, he gets more lines than Obi-Wan Kenobi. I think he gets more lines than Qui-Gon. And he's annoying. And a little racially insensitive, from my understanding. But what kills this movie for me, I'm not trying to pick on him because I'm sure he's a nice guy now because he's an adult, but Jake Lloyd, he was a shitty kid actor. Sorry. I'm a bad actor too, okay? I am. I'm not a good actor. I would have been an even worse child actor. But he was awful. as Anakin Skywalker, and it did not work. And not only him, but the dialogue for Anakin was awful. And there's one line in particular that makes me cringe every time, was when he leaves his mom, and he's like, fine. He's keeping it kind of stone-faced, and he finally just goes, "Will I ever see you again?" I was like, George, could you have got another take? There wasn't a better take than that. It just didn't work. Or when he's in the ship, fighting, oh god, that was so stupid. They tried way too hard to make Anakin out to be this, like, superhuman, you know, from a young age. And, like, he's in the ship, he's like, this is intense! Oh my god. It's just, whoa! Oh my god. I hate that fucking performance so much. I hate it. I'm like, this is the guy that's gonna be Darth Vader? Like, I get everybody has a beginning. Everybody horrible in our history, they were children at one point, and they were annoyingly cute. I get that. But don't want it in my Star Wars movie. And Qui-Gon, I love Liam Neeson, but he's not memorable at all. It's such a cool name, Qui-Gon Jinn. And he doesn't really have much to do. The script for this was really bad. I mean, you have almost 20 years, you know, to work on a script, George, and it really feels like you wrote it in a couple days. I mean, the first Star Wars script, you spent over a year, and this one, it just didn't feel that way. It felt rushed, and you thought because of the special effects and stuff, we would just ignore how bad the dialogue and all the other stuff was, and we can't. And yet, at the same time, probably for nostalgic reasons, I do love this movie. And it is an enjoyable movie, even with all the boring shit and all the bad shit. It's an enjoyable movie. I don't know how they pulled that off, but to this day, I can still watch it. But does that make it good? Hell no. It's a horrible way to start a new trilogy. Yeah. Just talking about it kind of does make me a little bit angry. But Star Wars Phantom Menace, I give a 3 out of 5. It's not the worst out of the prequels. We'll get to that one next. But I think it is enjoyable for what it is. And again, that may just be because of nostalgic goggles. I don't know. But as much as I hate a lot of it, you know, there's a couple good parts. But not a good way to start this. So let's move on to, I'm going to go ahead and say it, my least favorite Star Wars movie, one of my least favorite movies ever made, and Star Wars Episode 2, Attack of the Clones. I fucking hate this movie. Now, I saw Phantom Menace in the theater one time, and I loved it. I saw Attack of the Clones twice, because I was confused. I was like, I didn't really like that. Why didn't I like that? I'm gonna go see it again. Then I realized why I didn't like it. It's boring. I cannot tell you one memorable thing in a Star Wars movie when it comes to Attack of the Clones. Nothing. Empire, this is not. Okay, let me go through the story real quick before I keep bitching. There's an attempt on Amidala's life. Anakin, who's played by Hayden Christensen now, he's grown up, and he creepily pines over Amidala. It's not charming at all. Obi-Wan has a mullet. He goes on this little detective mission, which is boring. Comes across Jango Fett. Boring. A young Boba. Boring. Padme and Anakin start falling in love. Boring. No chemistry between Natalie Portman and Hayden Christensen. And that is one thing about these movies that I don't like, is that George Lucas sucked all of the acting ability out of everybody. Episode 3 got better, but everyone is just so stone-faced and serious and no personality. Why? That's the director's fault. People bitch about Hayden Christensen's acting. I know he's a good actor. I've seen him in some good stuff. Watch Shattered Glass. Fantastic movie, and he is great in it. George Lucas as a director is the problem. At least in the prequels. He should not have directed these. He probably... These would have been better with other directors. Maybe they could have made the scripts work a little better. The dialogue. But this dialogue is awful. Terrible. But anyway... eventually it shows the Emperor coming to power. That's kind of cool. I mean, these movies show the Emperor, again played by Ian McDiarmid, come to power. He's awesome. Probably the best part of the whole trilogy. They find out there's a clone army that's going to work with the good guys, which was kind of a cool twist to see that. Like, the clone army was originally for the good guys, and eventually we know that's not going to be the case anymore. That was cool. Eventually there's a cool lightsaber duel with Christopher Lee, who's Count Dooku. That's kind of cool. We see Yoda fight. I'm sorry. Yoda never should have fought with a lightsaber. Maybe I'm not alone in this. I mean, yeah, it was kind of cool to see him fight. It didn't come off as serious. It came off as hilarious, and it wasn't supposed to be. Yoda should have been so powerful, he didn't need a lightsaber. He refused to use it. He should have just had a battle of wills with Count Dooku, or a lightning battle. There's an extra, I remember, on this DVD set where George Lucas is watching the animators working on the Yoda thing, and he goes, "No!" He's like, "It still comes off as funny. It's not supposed to be funny." I'm like, "George, you can't make this not funny. It's a CG Yoda, and you have him at the very beginning go, "Arr!" All logic went out the window for George. Like, come on, man. But to me, Yoda never... I hate that scene. Yeah, it's kind of cool, like, for fan fiction, but to see it, it didn't work for me. And to me, Yoda should have just always been so powerful, he never used a lightsaber. I don't know how that makes sense, but that's, in my mind, it does, okay? Yeah. And it ends. That's really it. I mean, that's really it. It's just... It's a piece of shit from beginning to end. It's boring. And even though Phantom Menace had a shit ton of problems, at least it wasn't boring. At least it wasn't for me. I mean, some parts were, but the majority, I had a good time. I have a good time watching it. Attack of the Clones, I may never watch it again. I'll watch every Star Wars movie except for that one. I hate it. Not just as a Star Wars movie, I hate it as a movie. I mean, I remember there's like a scene, Anakin and Padme in some kind of robot factory, and it was added in like as an afterthought because they needed an action scene. Doesn't do anything. It's stupid. It sucks. I mean, how do you turn Natalie Portman into a bad actress? How do you, I mean, Ewan McGregor is fun as Obi-Wan. He's the highlight minus the Emperor, or soon-to-be Emperor, Chancellor Palpatine, whatever the hell he is. Jar Jar was made a minuscule role. That's one thing George did right. And even that was too much screen time for Jar Jar. What more you can say, it's terrible. I maybe I'm harder on it than I need to be, but it is atrocious. One of the worst movies I've ever seen. Originally I was going to give this a 2, but after talking about it, 1.5 out of 5. There's really just no redeemable qualities in it at all. Special effects are kind of cool. Story's shit. Characters don't do much. It's boring. It's boring, boring, boring. Like this is probably getting, so I'll stop. So we get to the final film in the Star Wars Prequel Trilogy. Thank God they made this one, because it's the only thing that redeemed it. Star Wars Episode 3, Revenge of the Sith. Alright, the story here is this. Anakin, who has basically now become a full-fledged Jedi Knight, with Obi-Wan Kenobi, who is now a Jedi Master, they go to rescue Chancellor Palpatine from Count Dooku. Eventually, it starts to become obvious that Chancellor Palpatine may not be on the up and up. And there seems to be some kind of threat against the galaxy, and the Sith might be coming back. And eventually it leads to Anakin turning, Obi-Wan having to deal with that. Padme finds out she's pregnant. Her and Anakin, are together, and they're not supposed to be, and she's pregnant. Cool. Natalie Portman doesn't really have much to do. I really don't like in this prequel, she started off in the first movie as a queen. And a strong, soldier. And even in episode 2, she fought. In this one, she's just a pregnant, whiny girl. I mean, I know she's pregnant, she can't do much, but it just... Really? You made this... This is supposed to be Princess Leia's mom. And this one, it's just... whatever. I'm trying to think, really... Obi-Wan has to go after General Grievous because the Clone Wars is happening with the galaxy. And that's going on, and we got some cool battle scenes, but eventually the clone army turns against the Jedi and the galaxy and works for the Sith. And then Anakin turns, him and Obi-Wan have a fantastic lightsaber duel, and it ends. In case you haven't seen it, I don't want to give away too much. But this is, without a doubt, the best one out of the prequel trilogy. Everyone agrees to that. There's no argument. You have to agree to it. It's the truth. The opening scene in this is probably my favorite opening to a Star Wars movie because it felt like Star Wars again. That's what this movie, it felt like Star Wars. Where episode 1 and 2 just didn't, and this one did. The opening scene, the space battle with Obi-Wan and Anakin, that was so much fun and good humor, and leading up to the lightsaber duel with Count Dooku, that was awesome. And again, some of the dialogue in this movie sucks. The relationship between Padme and Anakin is just not good. When he finds out she's pregnant, that's a good scene between the two. I like that chemistry between them, but besides that, nothing. Ewan McGregor as Obi-Wan, he looks so much like Alec Guinness, but that's great. When Chancellor Palpatine finally becomes Emperor Palpatine, it's over the top, but it's fun. Samuel Jackson as Mace Windu gets a lot more time, and he's a lot of fun with that badass purple lightsaber. The story goes in some different directions, and Anakin turning is a little bit rushed, but it's not bad. He has a premonition that Padme is going to die. So he is trying to figure out how to save her, and the Emperor takes advantage of that. There's a beautiful scene that I'm glad is getting a lot of attention now in the Opera House. It's the best scene in the movie, at least dialogue-wise, between Chancellor Palpatine and Anakin. Anakin doesn't talk very much, and the Emperor tells him this story, this lore, and it is so good. So good. One of the best scenes out of every Star Wars movie. And the best scene of the prequels, without a doubt. But, the battle scenes are cool. The music is amazing in this, as it is in all the Star Wars movies, even the bad ones. The lightsaber duel between Obi-Wan and Anakin is the best lightsaber duel thus far. It goes on forever. It's cool. It intertwines with the fight between Yoda and Emperor Palpatine, which I'll admit is really cool. I don't like Yoda with a lightsaber, but that scene's cool. The ending is bittersweet, but it leads right into A New Hope. It's good. It makes sense. Seeing Darth Vader become Darth Vader is really cool. This movie is far from perfect. There's a lot of stuff that doesn't work. Padme and Anakin, some of the dialogue is just awful. And people get on Hayden Christensen as playing Anakin Skywalker. I personally like him as Anakin. It's just the dialogue he's given sucks, and the direction sucks. But there are many scenes like when he doesn't talk, and you see the conflict in his eyes, in his face. That, to me, I'm like, okay, I know why they chose him. But this is still, my favorite out of the original, and I would say probably my fourth favorite Star Wars movie, out of the 7. I would say. Like, it's really, really good. It is really, really good. It's got a lot of problems. You know, a lot of the problems that kind of haunted the first two. But overall, this is a really good movie and a really fun movie. A good experience. And frankly, if you just want to watch episode 3 before you watch 4, 5, and 6, you can do that. This movie actually makes 1 and 2 not even necessary. At all. You don't have to watch 1 and 2 to get this one. That's how bad the first 2 are. So it's like, 1 and 2 I don't even really watch. I could watch Phantom Menace, Attack of the Clones I hope I never see again. But this, if I'm just like, okay, I just want to watch one of the prequels, it's always going to be this. Because to me, it's a lot of fun, it's really good, and I very much enjoy it. George Lucas kind of finally did it right, in a sense. So, Revenge of the Sith, I give 4 out of 5. I think it deserves that. It's above average. Like I said, some of the stuff doesn't work, but the majority of it does. And there are many memorable scenes. It finally felt like a Star Wars movie with memorable scenes. The opening scene that went on, that whole thing was awesome. The Opera House scene, the lightsaber duel, the ending. There are so many great moments. The scene when Anakin and Padme, like, they're just thinking. They're not even talking in this great music, and they're just thinking about where their lives are going. They're separate in separate locations. That's a great scene that I remember. So much good stuff, some good direction by George Lucas, and also some bad. But a pretty good script, and it all came together and finally made the Star Wars prequel movie that we kind of wanted. So there you go. That's Revenge of the Sith. And there you go. Those are my thoughts and reviews on the prequel trilogy. Certainly a mixed bag. The first 2 have a shit ton of problems, and I despise episode 2. But Revenge of the 3... wow. The third one, Revenge of the Sith, it's worth it. You know, to get through the first 2 to get to the third one, it's worth it, because it's one of the better Star Wars movies. Like, personally, I like it more than Return of the Jedi, to be honest. Like, I love Return of the Jedi, but I like Revenge of the Sith even more, because I like how dark it gets, and I like a lot of what happens, and I like the way it flows. And I never get bored with it. I never do. Even during some of the more cringeworthy dialogue scenes, I never get bored. And there's just a lot of memorable stuff. But George Lucas, he made the trilogy he wanted to make, the prequel trilogy, and it is what it is. It's canon, it's there, nothing we can do about it now. We've got a brand new trilogy to get to, and of course, I'm talking about the newest one, Episode 7, and I'm going to talk about that in the next video. And then after that, of course, I'll talk about Rogue One, after I see it in theaters, which I am very, very excited about. So, thank you very much. I'm Filmholmes, this was Too Many Movies, and I will see you in the next video. Take care.